Hi, everybody. My name's Arielle Ford, and I am so excited. My coloring book has just come out, and it is the world's first transformational coloring book that's designed to help you manifest a soulmate by both doing the little practices in the book along with coloring in all the gorgeous illustrations. And before I give you the entire step-by-step program on how to successfully manifest the love of your life, I want to tell you a really quick story. And it's how I manifested my soulmate 20 years ago. So here's what happened. I woke up really early on a Sunday morning. I was 43 years old. And as I was lying in bed, I was reaching over trying to find my cat. I had this big 25-pound cat. I actually still had my eyes closed. And all I could feel was this big expanse of empty space. And I had this aha moment, which was basically, oh my God, I forgot to get married. And I'm lying there in bed thinking, how in the world did this happen? You know, I'm 43, I have this huge successful business, I'm relatively attractive and fit, I know lots of people, and yet I was still single. So as I was lying in bed thinking about it, I realized that I had been focusing on building my business and building my career and using everything I knew about manifestation in that department, but I had been totally ignoring my love life. So I got out of bed and I made a long list of every prayer, process, and ritual I'd ever used to manifest anything in the past and decided to focus on manifesting a soulmate. And within 6 months, it totally worked. It was amazing. I met the coolest guy on the planet. He was absolutely perfect for me. On the day that we met, I knew, he knew, everybody who was in the room with us knew. And a year later, we got married. Our 19th anniversary is coming up in the summer. So I want to make sure you manifest your soulmate too. And several years ago, I met this woman named Gail who told me this incredible story of how she manifested her soulmate by coloring. And what she did was she took a mandala, and this is sort of what a mandala looks like, and there's one in the book. It's called a love mandala. And as she was coloring in each little section, she would speak out loud the traits or qualities that she wanted her soulmate to have. So she said things like, my soulmate will appreciate my offbeat sense of humor, and my soulmate will be kind to strangers, and went on all these different things. And the last one, when she colored in the last little bit, she said, and my soulmate will have a very cute butt. That night, she went to the gym, and it was very late at night, and she had just gotten done giving herself a clay facial mask. And girls, you know what those are. That's when you scoop on this green stuff and it gets really hard on your face. And then when it starts to crack, you have to peel it off. Well, when she peeled it off, her face was all red and blotchy, but she went to the gym anyway. And she ended up getting on the exercycle next to this guy who kept trying to talk to her. And she was so embarrassed at how bad she thought she looked that she got off the bike and she went into another room to do some yoga poses. And while she was doing her downward dog pose, the guy from the bike next to her walks in and starts talking to her and asks her out. Well, a few nights later, they go to a Mexican restaurant for dinner. And while they're having dinner, she notices he's very kind to the waitress. He laughs at all her jokes. It turns out he's a dog lover just like her. And for 3 hours, they just completely bonded. They had the best time together. He took her home, walked her to her front door, gave her a nice kiss, asked her out on a second date. And as he turned and walked away, she noticed that he had a very cute butt. And I want you to know they just celebrated their 30th anniversary. And that's just one of many, many stories I know of people who have colored their way to their soulmate. So what I'm going to do in the short time that we have together is I'm going to teach you how to really utilize this book and the law of attraction so that you can very quickly manifest the love of your life. What's a soulmate? Let's just start at the beginning. I believe a soulmate is first and foremost, somebody you can completely be yourself with, somebody with whom you share unconditional love. And when you look into their eyes, you have the experience of being home. And if you accept that definition, the really good news is you already have many soulmates in your life. It could be your siblings, your parents, your kids, your coworkers, your best friend, even your cats and dogs can be soulmates. So if you begin to spend some time each day focusing on all the love and soulmates you already have in your life, you automatically become magnetic to drawing in a romantic soulmate. So that's the place to start. The other good news is that everybody has many potential soulmates in a lifetime. So some of you have heard that there's a myth that we each only get one big love in a lifetime. It's absolutely not true. Just like there's enough clean water to drink and fresh air to breathe, there's more than enough love in the world for everybody, including you. And in fact, there are now 7.2 billion people alive on the planet. Half of them are single. So statistically, you're tripping over potential soulmates all the time. You just have to be open, willing, and available to receiving your soulmate into your life. Now you may be thinking, well, that's true for everybody else, but I'm unlucky in love, or I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm too damaged, all the good ones are taken, the one that was got away. And I want you to know none of this is true. This stuff really works. It even worked for my 80-year-old mother-in-law, Peggy. Now, Peggy was married to her first soulmate, her husband, Wayne, for 55 years. And then she was a widow for 5 years. And then one day she called me up and she said, Ariel, I'm ready for a relationship. And my response was, but Peggy, you're 80. And she said, does that matter? And I said, no, I guess it doesn't. So I quickly took her through the Soulmate Secret process. And 3 weeks later, she called me up and she said, I have a date. And I said, you do? How did that happen? And she told me this whole story about how one of her much younger friends had come over the night before. They went on to Match.com. They went into the over 80 category. And there was one man named John, who was listed there, who was a retired attorney, like Peggy's dear departed Wayne. And her friend emailed or notified, however you do it on Match.com, this man, John, and told him about Peggy. Well, John called Peggy the next morning. They talked on the phone for 4 hours. The next day they went to lunch. Within 3 months, he proposed. And Peggy said no, she didn't want to get married again, but they would live together. And I just want you to know that for the next 5 years, they lived together blissfully in love until they both passed away. So you're thinking you're too old. It's just not true. So how does the law of attraction work? Here's how it works. The law of attraction states that we draw to us the people, places, and experiences that match our state of being. So if our state of being is, I'm lovable, I deserve to be loved, lots of people love me, then you'll have lots of love in your life. And if your experience is, or your belief is, oh, I'm just so unlucky in love and it's for everybody else, but it's not for me, love can't show up. And the way Neil Donald Walsh explains it, he says that you can't have anything that you want. So when you're in a state of wanting, your message to the universe is that something's missing. And when something's missing, all you can have is more of the feeling, more of the experience of missing. So we have to learn to encompass our beliefs, to know and trust that the one we've asked for is already ours. And when we're in that state, we can draw to us and magnetize to us what our desire is. Another way to look at this is how Deepak Chopra explains it. He says that if we have a desire for something, whether it's a desire for a soulmate or a desire for a new career or desire for a new home, the seeds of the fulfillment of that desire already exist within you, or you wouldn't have the desire. So there's lots of proof that all of this works. You just have to learn to get very clear about what your desire is, then to embrace and believe that it's already yours, and then to go into action to do what's ever necessary to make it all happen. Now, it's on the belief part that a lot of people get really stuck. And if you saw the movie The Secret or you read the book, unfortunately for you, the most important part of the process was left out. It's what I call my secret sauce, and it's the feeling component. So you can imagine in your head, you can visualize in your head all day long, seeing yourself with a soulmate or seeing yourself driving that new BMW convertible. But if your feeling state is, it's not possible, or it's never going to happen, or I'm not deserving, then that actually blocks the possibility of it happening. It's kind of like driving with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. So what I do is I teach people how to get into the feeling state. It's what I call a feelingization. And what we do is we drop from our head to our heart, and we remember and re-experience feelings of love and appreciation and gratitude as if it's happening right now in present moment awareness. And when we're in this feeling state, then we can drop into the feeling of having and knowing and trusting that our desire is already fulfilled. And I offer pre-recorded feelingizations for free on my website. So you know, when we're done with this video, you can go check it out. Just go to soulmatesecret.com, and find the tab called Free Stuff. And the feelingizations are right there. Now, here's the important thing you need to know. Before you manifest anything new, you need to have complete clarity on what it is you're most desiring. So if your purpose and intention is to manifest a soulmate, then you need to know what are your deal breakers with a soulmate and what are your must-haves. So for instance, I'll tell you about mine. One of my must-haves for a soulmate was I needed a man who was very generous. Not necessarily with his wallet, but with his love and affection and appreciation and time and attention. That was a must-have. One of my deal breakers would be somebody who was a smoker or an addict of any kind. So when I went to write my soulmate wish list, which everybody needs to do, you need to create a soulmate wish list, you need to write everything from a very positive perspective. So I had things on my wish list where, you know, my soulmate's very generous and affectionate. My soulmate leads a healthy lifestyle, because I didn't want to put my soulmate is not a smoker, because that would have been a negative. Your subconscious mind doesn't register positive from negative necessarily. So everything you put on the soulmate wish list has to be a positive statement. I had all kinds of things. One of the really important things for me is I love to travel. It's one of my highest values. So I put my soulmate loves to travel internationally, loves exotic travel, you know, and would love to go to India with me, would love to go to Italy, would love to explore all of Europe. So that's what you want to do. You really want to start thinking about, what does your life with your soulmate look like? I also recommend that everybody have the same first intention on their soulmate wish list, and it's going to be some version of this. It might be, my soulmate is open, willing, and available for a long-term monogamous marriage, and he already lives within 50 miles of San Diego, or he's willing to move. Okay, got the picture? So making a soulmate wish list is a big part of the process. Once you've created your list, you want to have a trusted friend review it with you. And here's why. You want to make sure you didn't forget anything really important. So for instance, I'm a cat lover. I've always had cats. I'm going to have cats for my entire life. And I needed to have on my list that my soulmate is a cat lover. Because imagine if I had manifested somebody who had everything on my list, but they were allergic to cats. That would have been a deal breaker, and it would have been too late. So you create the list, you have a trusted friend review the list with you, and then the next important step is to release the list to the universe. You're saying to the universe, I trust and know that what I've asked for is already mine, and you create a ritual around it. You can do it as, you can write it on the outside of a helium balloon and literally release it to the heavens. You can write it out on a beautiful piece of paper and burn it and scatter the ashes into some part of nature or water. You can write it out and put it under your pillow, under your mattress, in a favorite spiritual book. If you have a love altar, put it on your love altar. The important thing is to have 2 copies of it. One copy that you keep and one copy that you release. Then the step after that is to create a treasure map, or what some people call a vision board. And it's fun and it's easy to do. You get a big piece of poster board, then you cut out pictures and images and words from magazines, and you collage them onto your treasure map so that you're creating a visual representation of your future love life. The only caution I have for you here is that you don't want to put people's faces on your board. So you don't want to have a picture of Brad Pitt, okay? He's not really available. Or George Clooney, or some hot-looking guy model. What you want is images that evoke the feelings of romance. So it may be a couple walking hand in hand on the beach, or it may be an image of a couple having a romantic dinner. Whatever it is for you, just don't have somebody else's face on there that isn't realistic to become your soulmate. Okay, does that make sense? Then the next piece of the puzzle is what I call feathering the nest, getting your home ready to receive a soulmate. And I suggest that you plan on doing this even if you're 100% certain you're never going to live in the place you're living now with your soulmate. It's still important to prepare your home. And this involves clearing away clutter, clearing out negative energies, and you can do this by doing the Native American technique of saging or hiring a professional energy worker. And then you want to make space in your home for your soulmate. Literally make space for them. So that could be cleaning out a drawer in the dresser so you have one empty drawer for them to put their things in, making a little space in the closet, clearing out half a shelf in the bathroom cabinet, making sure that the nightstand on their side of the bed is completely empty and available for them. If you happen to have a 2-car garage and you've been parking your car in the middle, move over. If you've been sleeping in the middle of the bed, move over. The point of all of this is to literally make space for somebody to come into. Now, why do you want to do this? You want to do this because nature abhors a vacuum. And you already know this. If you've ever cleaned out your closet, what's the next thing that tends to happen? New clothes come in, right? So you want to make space. You want to make space in your home. You want to make space in your heart. You want to make space in your calendar. So if you're one of these hyper busy people and you're thinking, oh, when I meet somebody, then I'll make time for love, it's not the way it happens. What I suggest you do is that you get out your calendar and you now begin blocking off baskets of time when you'll be able to date, or you'll be able to go online and start looking around, and you start making time in your life every day for love, because that will draw somebody in even quicker. So now that you've made space in both your home and your heart and your calendar, it's time to cut cords. Now, here's what happens. When we have sexual intimacy with another human being. We have unseen energetic cords that keep us connected to them, particularly women. So what I want you to do is to cut the cords between you and all of your past lovers and all of your exes. And there's multiple ways to do it. One way is to imagine that they're standing in front of you. Imagine that there's a cord going from your belly button to theirs. And then I want you to scoop up the energy like this so that you're holding both of these invisible cords in your hand. And then you take your right hand and you go 3 karate chops like that to cut the cords. And then you clap 3 times to dispel the energy. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to take a salt bath. And this is the easiest way. You can either swim in the ocean, thinking about how you're cutting the cords that way, or go in your bathtub, fill it up with nice warm water, put in an entire container of sea salt or regular table salt, but don't use Epsom salts. So sea salt or table salt, the entire container, sit in the tub for 15-20 minutes, and then pop the drain open and continue to sit there and imagine all the past energy going down the drain with the dirty water. Then stand up, take a hot, sudsy shower, wash your hair, and dry off with clean towels. And that will also cut the cords. Now, one bit of warning here. Often when we cut cords with somebody, they will feel it on an energetic level, and they may call you or email you or text you within 24 hours. And if this happens, you need to know it doesn't mean they want you back. It doesn't mean, it's not a sign you're supposed to go back to them. It's just a sign that they felt the disconnection and you should cut cords again. Okay, clear on that? Now, the next piece of this is really getting into action. You cannot expect to manifest your soulmate sitting at home by yourself on the couch watching reality TV. It's not going to happen that way. I have lots of magic wands, but I don't have the one that's going to have FedEx ship you your soulmate to your front door. Here's what you need to do. I would strongly suggest that you get online. 1/3 of all marriages now begin online. And even if you've had bad experiences in the past, it doesn't matter. It's the greatest cocktail party on earth. It's the fastest, easiest way to meet an appropriate partner. So get online. I know people who've married going on Match.com, on eHarmony, on JDate, on Plenty of Fish. I even have a friend who met her husband on Tinder. But get out there and commit to 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day of getting online and dating and making connections. Now, how fast will this work? I get this question all the time. People want to know, how fast does it work? I know one woman who met her soulmate in 3 minutes. How did she do this? She went to the bookstore. She bought my book, The Soulmate Secret. She was standing in line at Barnes & Noble to pay for it. The guy behind her is now her husband. Okay, she hadn't even read the book yet. I have another friend who spent 3 years dating on Match.com. She went on 179 first dates. Number 180 has been her husband for 3 years now, and they have a baby. She's never been happier. She said it took a lot longer than she wanted it to, but she's so happy that she went on the 179 first dates. So here's what I can tell you. If you put in the time and the energy, it's going to pay off. You will meet your soulmate. If you sit around and have these fantasies that it's just going to happen, that you're going to be the 1 in 100,000 that trips over your soulmate standing on a corner somewhere, maybe. But if it hasn't happened yet, and you know that you're ready now for love, then I would suggest that you work through my book, work through the coloring book. I would suggest that you do it in the order that it's laid out, but you don't have to, because any effort you put into it will make a difference. And I would suggest that you be willing to date no matter what your past dating history has been. Because Think about it. We've all had some bad meals, right? Have you ever gone to a restaurant and you had a really bad meal? It's happened to all of us. But did you stop eating? No, you didn't stop eating. So I can assure you, there are some really bad dates in your future. Don't have it mean anything. Don't have it mean that it's a sign you're not supposed to date. Just get out there, and as the Nike ad says, just do it. Okay, final assignment. What you're going to need to do once you've worked through all of this is write to me. I want you to write me a letter from the future. And there's instructions in the book how to do this, but I'm going to tell it to you simply. What you do is you sit down and you put a date at the top of the letter, and the date needs to be at a minimum 6 months from the date that you're writing, 6 months into the future. And then you're going to write, Dear Ariel, I am so excited to share with you that I am now with my soulmate. And I want you to tell me all the feelings, all the positive feelings that you're feeling, your excitement, what it's like to be in love, how happy you are. And then if you wish, you can also fill in a few details about your soulmate or what the things that you do together. But I don't want the whole laundry list. It doesn't have to be a super long letter. Just a very positive letter where you're standing in your future, looking back at today or whatever day that it is, and really feeling and embodying your success as a blissfully in love person. Okay? So you go ahead and do that. My email address will be up on the screen, but just to make it easy, it's my name at Gmail, arielford@gmail.com. All right, you guys, go for it. I can't wait to get your letters from the future, and after that, I can't wait to see the pictures you're going to send me later on of you and your beloved.